all cast of Dallas who passed away. One of the men on this list played a character so hated, so deliciously evil, that the entire country spent one whole summer asking a single question about him, a mystery that became one of the biggest television events in American history, watched by tens of millions of people the night it was finally answered. Off-screen, that same actor survived a liver transplant and a very public fight with throat cancer before he finally passed away. His story is our number one. Dallas ran for 13 seasons, from 1978 to 1991, and became one of the defining primetime soaps of its era, centered on one wealthy, endlessly feuding Texas oil family that America genuinely couldn't stop watching every week. Today, we're going through the actors from that world who are no longer with us. 8. Dak Rambo, Jack Ewing. Dak Rambo joined the cast in its final seasons, playing Jack Ewing, a cousin brought in to shake up a family dynamic that had already been set for years. Before Dallas, he'd built a long career on other television dramas, including a stint on All My Children. He died on the 21st of March 1994 at 52, from complications of his diagnosis. Like so many actors of that era, only became fully public knowledge after he was already gone. Rambo's storyline came and went relatively quickly in the show's later years. Our next name was already a familiar face on television long before Dallas, thanks to one of the most recurring guest roles in the history of another classic Western. 7. Morgan Woodward, Punk Anderson. Morgan Woodward played Punk Anderson, one of Jock Ewing's oldest friends, appearing in 55 episodes across the show's run. Off-screen, he'd already built one of the longest careers of anyone connected to Dallas Shea, holds the record for the most guest appearances by any actor on Gunsmoke, and played the silent, sunglasses-wearing man with no eyes opposite Paul Newman in Cool Hand Luke. He died on the 22nd of February, 2019, at 93 at his home in the Hollywood Hills. Woodward's career stretched back to the earliest days of television westerns, decades before Dallas even existed. Our next name played Bobby Ewing's business rival for over a decade across the entire original run of the show. 6. Ken Kercheval, Cliff Barnes. Ken Kercheval played Cliff Barnes, the Ewing family's perpetually scheming rival, appearing in nearly every season of the show's original run and its 2012 revival. Before television, he'd built a serious stage career, training at the neighborhood playhouse alongside future stars of his generation. He died on the 21st of April 2019, at 83, from pneumonia. Kercheval spent more than a decade playing the one man the Ewings could never quite shake. Our next name joined the cast in its later seasons, bringing an Oscar he'd already won years before Dallas ever cast him. 5. George Kennedy, Carter McKay. George Kennedy joined the cast in its 9th season as Carter McKay, a rival oilman, bringing real Hollywood weight to the role he'd already won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Cool Hand Luke back in 1968. Over a decade before Dallas even started, and later became a comedic favourite as Captain Ed Hocken in the Naked Gun films. He died on the 28th of February 2016 at 91 from a heart ailment in Middleton, Idaho. Kennedy's Oscar predates his Dallas role by more than a decade. Our next name had an even longer Hollywood pedigree as a genuine MGM musical star before he ever set foot on the Ewing Ranch. 4. Howard Keel Clayton Farlow. Howard Keel joined the cast in 1981 as Clayton Farlow, Miss Ellie's second husband, a role that introduced an entire new generation of viewers to an actor who'd already headlined major MGM musicals decades earlier, including Annie Get Your Gun, Kiss Me Kate, and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, singing opposite some of Hollywood's biggest stars of the 1950s. He died on the 7th of November 2004 at 85 from colon cancer at his home in Palm Desert. Keel had already lived an entire first Hollywood career before Dallas gave him a second one. Our next name played the moral center of the entire Ewing family, the only person who could ever really control her sons. 3. Barbara Bell Geddes, Miss Ellie Ewing. Barbara Bell Geddes played Miss Ellie Ewing, the family matriarch, having already been Oscar-nominated decades earlier for her very first film role, and later starring opposite James Stewart in Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. She died on the 8th of August 2005 at 82 from lung cancer at her home in Northeast Harbour, Maine. Bell Geddes held the Ewing family together on screen for most of the show's run. Our next name's death happened right in the middle of production, and the writers had to make a decision that changed the entire direction of the series. 3. Jim Davis, Jock Ewing. Jim Davis played Jock Ewing, the family's tough, self-made patriarch, from the show's very first episode, after decades of playing supporting roles in Western films and television. During the show's 4th season, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma and kept filming as long as he physically could. He died on the 26th of April, 1981, at 71, at his home in Northridge, California. The show's writers considered recasting the role, but decided, out of respect, that only Davis should ever play Jock Ewing. Instead, they wrote him out with a storyline, sending his character to South America on business, keeping him alive on paper for 13 more episodes, before finally confirming in January 1982 that his helicopter had gone down over a lake and he was presumed dead. Davis never lived to see how his own character's ending was actually written. Our number one's character didn't just survive one shooting. The mystery of who pulled the trigger became one of the biggest media events of the entire decade. 1. Larry Hagman, J.R. Ewing. Larry Hagman played J.R. Ewing, the ruthless, endlessly scheming oil baron who became one of television's most iconic villains, a role that came after Hagman had already spent years as a completely different kind of television star, playing the love-struck astronaut in I Dream of Jeannie. When J.R. was shot in the show's 1980 season finale, the question of who shot J.R. dominated American pop culture for an entire summer, and the episode revealing the answer that November became one of the most watched broadcasts in television history. Off-screen, Hagman had a liver transplant in 1995 after decades of heavy drinking, and in 2011 announced he had stage 2 throat cancer. The cancer went into remission the following year, but in July 2012, he was diagnosed with a form of leukemia. He died on the 23rd of November 2012 at 81 at Medical City Dallas Hospital, fittingly, in the same city his character had made famous. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.